You ready? All right. What's Nick Narducci's granddaughter's name? Councilman, let's begin this proceeding. Prior to that, let's introduce our new addition, Councilman Nick Narducci's most important person at this point in time in his world. His granddaughter, Emma. Why don't you say hello, Emma, to all the council? Hello, Emma. Welcome to the Providence City Council. Thank you all. Thank you all council members for attending. I know it was difficult in the day, and I appreciate what you're doing, your time, energy, and effort, and your dedication. With that said, Madam Clerk, we're going to begin this meeting on August 10th, 2022, Wednesday. I'm going to do a roll call to begin the meeting, please, Madam Clerk.
Council President Igliozzi.
Present.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Present.
Majority Whip Castillo.
Present.
Councilman Correa. Council President Pro Tempore Espinal.
Present.
Councilman Gonzalez.
Present.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Present.
Councilor Kerwin is absent. Councilwoman LaFortune. Councilor Miller.
Present.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Narducci. Councilwoman Ryan.
Present.
Councilor Salvatore. Majority Leader Taylor.
Here.
Councilman Vargas.
Present.
You have 14 present and 1 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr.
Next item,
President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to dispense of the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next item, item 1.
Mr.
Majority Leader
President,
Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of items 1 and 2.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Madam Clerk, received item 1 and 2. On to item number 3, please.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 3 and override the mayor's veto on a roll call vote.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Discussion, Councilwoman Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak in support of the mayor's veto because I cannot support a school board ballot question. I'm not opposed to a different process for constituting the school board. In fact, I lived in a city that had a fully elected school board and it ran very well. What I am opposed to is making this decision without input from the stakeholders and making this decision when our school system is in crisis. Why would we change how the school board is composed when there is such turmoil? I think we all agree that the state takeover of our schools is not working. And what I think we should do as city leaders is to take a step back, convene all the stakeholders. That means the parents, the teachers, the school, the administrators, education experts. We need to take a step back and we need to have a much larger discussion of how we are going to take our schools back and how we plan to run them when we do. How we compose our school board should be part of that larger discussion. If at that time it is the consensus of the stakeholder group that we change to a hybrid system or an elected system, then we can circulate a petition to reopen the Charter Review Commission. If we put the school board question on the ballot and the voters approve the question, it might have the unintended consequence of destabilizing our school system. And I just don't think that's something we can do right now. I've spoken to a number of you who I greatly respect. And some of you have said we've conducted a public process and that this hybrid school proposal has been vetted. I don't agree. And I attended quite a few of the meetings of the Charter Review Commission. The proposal for the hybrid school committee came in late in the process. Little and no outreach was done, and the public hearings took place in the middle of the summer during 1 week. This is not a public process. We have received numerous emails and letters in opposition. I can't think of one letter I've received in support. Finally, I think it's a shame that we are put in the position of having to support a veto of all the recommendations made by the Charter Review Commission. I don't know if all of you saw the article by Dan McGowan in the Boston Globe today. He said there's all sorts of gamesmanship going on and I agree. Why did the council leadership package all of the proposed ballot questions together when traditionally they are proposed as individual questions? We would have been given the opportunity to support the things we support and then not support the things we don't. I just think that that is unfortunate, but I think that this school board issue is certainly more substantive than the rest of the smaller issues we've addressed on the charter review. So I would ask your support of the mayor's veto. Thank you.
Councilman Gunkowski.
Mr. President, today this body will vote on whether or not to override or sustain the mayor's veto. I'm going to take the opportunity on the floor to let the community know what it needs to know. The Charter Review Commission has been meeting for over the last 6 months. The makeup included 5 council appointees and 4 mayoral appointees. Whether or not you think this makeup is questionable, the Charter Commission had made a series of recommendations and ultimately deliberated on the 10 total ballot questions that will potentially go out to voters in November. Intentionally, the council as a body was presented with a resolution of all of these charter review amendments that will go out to voters, bundled together as opposed to individually. Some of the items we agree on, others we don't. Since it was bundled together, essentially making it an all or nothing, voting no would kill the entire thing. This is specifically because of the timing. The Secretary of State's statutory deadline is 4 p.m. today. Because of open meetings laws, which require 48 hours of public notice and the holiday on Monday, there wasn't enough time to force the unbundling of the proposed ballot items, which is what I think should have initially happened. And I believe we were advised to do so. Thus, the debacle is option 1. We vote yes to support the things we agree with, or option 2, we vote no if there are enough votes to kill the entire thing, including the 6 months of hard work that went into this process. Regarding the hybrid school board model, I agree with the mayor that injecting more politics into the school board is not a great idea. I also agree that the process needed more community engagement. Community engagement, in my opinion, as an educator, the only educator on this body, is meeting people where they are. Many of those meetings happen right here in City Hall during hours that are tough for working families. Community engagement would have been proactively working with parents, students, student organizations, including PLEA, Arise, PRISM, PSU, the Center of Justice, and leaders like Ramona Santos Torres, Shonda Womack, Jennifer Wood. These are great educational leaders in our community that should have been at the table. The folks who are here today, they should have been at the table. And we should have asked them what they thought about these processes. They should have been included in the process. Although there were many, many meetings, and the public certainly could have participated, I also do believe that the process by the commission could have been significantly better and centered our students and families much more. Secondly, we shouldn't have bundled all of these items together. Although legally permissible to do so, it would have been better to have the option to vote no on the hybrid school board model. And the fact that we don't have an opportunity to exercise that option is a shame. So here we are dealing with the cards that were dealt, which isn't great. And while I don't agree with injecting more politics into our school system, and there's no evidence whatsoever that an elected school board will strengthen student outcomes. The question is it appropriate? This is the question for all of us today. Is it appropriate to kill the 6 months of hard work by the commission, or should we override the veto and let the voters decide? This seems to have the votes today. And if the override occurs, then I would encourage folks in our communities to start mobilizing their communities to make sure that their voice is heard at the ballot box. And I do think that if the mayor feels strongly about this issue, he should do the same. Simultaneously, I don't know if it's appropriate, considering the timing constraints, to kill the entire package over one ballot item. And ultimately, if the voters get to decide whether or not the hybrid school board model is the way to go, we should leave that up to the voters. So I have 100% confidence in the voters to make that decision, to strike it down or to support it. But that's what I wanted to share on the record today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Senior Deputy Majority Leader Narducci.
I'm just going to be, excuse me, very brief. I keep hearing about politics being played with an elected school board. There is no more politics being played than an appointed school board by the mayor. How is that not political, guys? Answer that question. Everybody says how the elected school board's working. It's working, huh? Our kids are failing. The state took over. Neither the mayor or the school board came to us and tried to stop it. That's your appointed school board. At least an elected school board is like any other elected official. You don't like what they're doing, you vote them the heck out. I am so sick and tired of hearing about the political end of it. No disrespect to any of my colleagues. But if you can tell me an appointed school board is not political, then you don't know what the word political means. I had a situation many years ago, happened to me in my ward. They shut Windmill Street School down, an elected school board, because supposedly they were going to save money. They were going to lay off teachers. They were going to do all this stuff. Nobody ever got laid off. The building sat for 10 years with lights on, water flowing. I had the vote. And I won't mention the guy's name, but I'll tell you exactly what happened. I had the guy's vote. The meeting was at Classical High School to keep open until Mayor Tavares and his entourage come walking in, sat in the very front row, and put the heat on the appointed school board. That gentleman looked at me with tears in his eyes and voted the way the administration wanted him to vote, close the school. That gentleman, after the vote, got up, walked off the stage, never came back to the school board. I'm so sick of hearing people that are appointed to the school board, the letters that we're receiving. They're people that are appointed to the school board or were in the past appointed to the school board. Think about it. If it's something you've done or you're doing, you don't want to change it. We live here. We live here. Our kids are the most precious thing that we have because they are our future. The state is failing us. We need people that are going to be elected. We need people that are not afraid to speak up to the administration, not back down because they're appointed. That's the only thing that's going to work our future. Everybody in this room, for the last, and other people that are out there, you know, for the last 20 years, 25 years, when I was on the ward committee under God rest their soul, Councilwoman Romano, I always fought for a fully elected school board. Always. I've sat in this council chambers and made it perfectly clear, standing here, when the appointed school board members came before us, I stood up, no disrespect to the member being appointed, but I refused to vote for any appointed school board member. Check my record. I stand here today asking, put the politics aside. That's what we want to do. Put it aside. We have 5 elected, 5 appointed. So the administration is still getting their appointed members. But we the people, again, we the people, need people that we can count on as parents, as grandparents, as mothers and fathers. And again, I sit here, and that's what really aggravates me. I hear people saying how the school system has failed. Our students are failing. It's no secret, guys. It's one of the worst educational systems in the state of Rhode Island. That's under an elected school board. An appointed school board. When are we going to take our kids to be our main consideration? We have to move forward. We have to get, again, an elected school board, half of the board elected. So we have people we can talk to that'll listen. Not listen to us and then sit in the room. We spoke. When we had issues with the school, and I'm going many years ago, Councilman Igliozzi, you'll remember, Councilman Currier might even remember. We were told by the school board as council people, you got 2 minutes. I got 2 minutes to talk about problems I had with the school system. As a councilman, never mind as a citizen that had children in the school system at the time, I got 2 minutes to talk. And when you're talking to them and they're looking like this, and I don't think there were cell phones at the time, but they're looking at their pages and they're not even listening to you. If that's what you want, that's what you want to continue, support the appointed school board. I'm not gonna. And it's very hard for me to stand here today after what I've been through. Do not, and I'm asking, I'm not demanding, do not support this veto. Thank you.
Councilman Ryan?
I just think we should call the question, sir. Time is
Majority
of
Taylor?
the essence.
I'll try to keep this short. I'm going to be voting for the veto. One reason is that I think, number one, shame on the mayor as being a lame duck mayor is what I've called him, because he's got 4 months left. And he's stopping, and anybody who votes against this is stopping the residents of the city of Providence to vote on this issue, which they have the kids going to the schools, and they should have a voice. So shame on the mayor for trying to stop that voice and have the people not vote on it. In Rhode Island, as you know or may not know, the only 2 non-elected school boards are Central Falls and Providence. The process, I hear, oh, the process didn't go well. I've heard it for the last 4 years. This process, I want to commend the Charter Review Committee, because even though I put some stuff in there that was not entertained or put on there, but it was a good process. It was transparent. And as far as people, certain educational leaders should have come to these meetings. They had opportunity. We had meetings here in person, and we had Zoom meetings. So there was no excuse why these educational leaders that people speak of could not attend or voice their opinion for or against. Gamemanship, that's a good word. I love that word because it is going on. Yesterday, the mayor called everybody to try to, except me, he must have lost my number. But he called everybody to try to swing their votes. He says during his, when he vetoed, he had all the people there, and he said that if we veto it, then he's gonna campaign for the whole, to the people. I say let him campaign. He campaigned yesterday. He was calling everybody, except me, and maybe some others, but I know he didn't call me, because I would have told him straight out. But some things that people don't know is that the person that recommended the hybrid was an appointee of the mayor. The big arguments is also that we're not going to have a diverse people of color on the different school board. The person that recommended this was a person of color, was the mayor's appointee, and was a highly educated person that turned around Hope High School. So who knows more about education than the person that recommended this and said, that it should be a hybrid 5 and 5. We talked about 6 and 5 right away. Everybody jumped in and said, let's give the mayor an extra one. My argument at that point was we'll bring it out to voters. Let's keep it even and keep it fair, 5 and 5. If down the road, 10 years from now, or we decide to have a charter change, it's not working, we can always go back and look at it. As far as putting all the 10 items together, I think we should keep the items together because that's what the charter is about. We only meet every 10 years. We shouldn't have everybody go in and vote. I mean, we're going to have enough bond issues and everything else to vote on the different things. And we also hear people, oh, this is rushed. It's a rush system. We rush through it. It doesn't take place until 2025. The election is 2024. Everybody who is on the board, if the upcoming mayor wants to keep them on there, can keep them on there. They're not going to go anywhere. I just think it's, like I said, it doesn't make sense that we're going to stop the residents of the city by telling them not to vote for it, because it's their decision, and I think that they should be entitled to vote for this. Thank you.
Councilman Ryan,
Mr. President,
call the question. So with that,
Like
let's do the roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
Excuse me, I had my,
We're in the middle of the call a question this time.
the question has been called.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
Council President Igliozzi,
Aye to override.
Councilwoman Anthony,
nay.
Council President, I had my,
Majority Whip
I said when-
Castillo,
We're in the middle of vote.
Councilman Correa, Council President Pro Tempore Espinal,
Aye.
Councilman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
aye.
Councilor Kerwin is absent. Councilwoman LaFortune.
Nay.
Nay. Councilor Miller.
Aye.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Narducci. Councilwoman Ryan.
Aye.
Councilor Salvatore. Majority Leader Taylor.
aye.
Councilman Vargas.
Aye.
Aye. You have 11 ayes, 3 nays, 1 absent. The motion to override the mayor's veto on a roll call vote is passed.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader Taylor.
motion to waive the reading of item 4 and pass for the second time on a roll call vote.
Second, Mr. President.
Second by Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Councilman Anthony.
I just would like to say thank you to the superintendent and his staff for being so responsive to our request at our last meeting. I really appreciate the fact that you've, supplied us with materials between our last vote and this vote, and I look forward to collaborating with you in the fall.
Mr. President, I would like to echo those remarks. Thank you.
Any other, at this time, then, Madam Clerk, roll call. This is to pass to allow the issuance of $125 million construction school bond. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yay means to do it, put it on the ballot. Nay means not to put it on the ballot. The mayor also has an opportunity if he wants to veto this also. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Council President Igliozzi.
Yes.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Yay.
Is that nay?
Yes, sorry.
Yes or nay?
She said yes.
Thank you. Majority Whip Castillo. Councilman Correa. Council President Pro Tempore Espinal. Councilman Gonzalez.
Aye.
Deputy Majority Leader Harris.
Aye.
Councilor Kerwin is absent. Councilwoman LaFortune.
Yes.
Councilor Miller.
Yes.
Senior Deputy Majority Leader Narducci. Councilwoman Ryan.
Aye.
Councilor Salvatore. Majority Leader Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Vargas.
Yes.
You have 14 ayes and 1 absent. The motion carries. The matter is passed for the second time on a roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Majority Leader Taylor.
If there's no further business,
Excuse me, Council President, a point of personal expression, please. Thank you
Councilwoman LaFortune.
for this opportunity. So this is more than once that I have followed protocol to be acknowledged to speak, and I have been denied the opportunity to speak. It is quite disrespectful as a council colleague, a council colleague. It's oppressive and it's problematic. This has happened in council meetings, from being muted to having my hand up for 40 minutes, and now sitting here patiently waiting to be selected to speak and being denied the opportunity. This is not leadership. This is not how you conduct an open and public meeting, and this is not respect to your fellow council person. I hope in your next journey, once you exit your council presidency, I hope you reflect on the time that you were here and how you treated individuals and how you led. Because this is truly unacceptable. And if it were me in your position and I conducted myself in the way that you have, I would have been scolded. This is unacceptable, and I am tired of it.
That said, Majority Leader Taylor.
if there's no further business, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second, Mr.
Second by Deputy
President.
Majority Leader Harris. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all for coming.